Okay, welcome back. We're back, and we're gonna go into our next presentation. Um, this is our second presentation of the conference. DARYL MCGRAW is the founder of Formerly Incorporated. Formerly Incorporated was created to help individuals and families whose lives have been disrupted by the ill effects of mass incarceration and addiction. Mr. McGraw holds state certifications as an addictions counselor, recovery support specialist, and a criminal justice professional. He holds a bachelor's degree in human services and a master's degree in organizational management and leadership, both from Springfield College. Please join me in welcoming DARYL McGraw. How you doing today?
Hello, peace, brother. Peace. How are you? Can you see me? You guys can see me. Hey, Jen, how's it going? Abdul, appreciate the introduction. DARYL McGraw, formerly Inc. / formerly incarcerated. How y'all doing? Been enjoying the conference so far. If you don't know, I'm a different kind of presenter, so I hope y'all had some snacks. I hope you got your energy up because this is how we doing it. Jen, I'm gonna need your help to share my screen. Let me know you in the building, all right? Because sometimes my screen gets a little frozen. Appreciate you. First, I want to say thank you to DCF for always inviting me. I really appreciate the opportunity. I want a special thanks to Jen and Anthony for always, keeping me in the mix, keeping me here. Abdul for the work that you do. And then I really want to really thank the doctors, the previous doctors that just spoke, because they really touched on a lot of areas that, that are near and dear to my heart, trauma and many different areas. I believe Dr. Beebe, and I'm going to say Dr. V because I don't want to screw the name up. So I'm just going to say Dr. V. We're going to move on. And I just want to say thank you to all of you DCF workers that do this work. But the work that you do, involves many individuals and it's life-changing. So, and it's not easy work. So I'm going to say that, and I'm going to say thank you for the work that you do. Move here. So we've been talking today, this conference is about what does it mean to be a good dad? And if you were paying attention, if y'all was paying attention to the doctor's presentation, y'all heard that the evidence shows, hold on, I don't know if y'all heard that. I don't know, we need to rewind and tape, Jen, or what. They said that the Black dad is present and definitely a good dad in many different ways, whether he's in the house, out the house. I got to shout out to all of my Black and brown fathers because we do show up every day, regardless of what the media would like to say. And speaking of media, if I will for a second, the media likes to portray all dads as kind of silly. You ever pay attention to the media? Dads are fumbling, they're this or that. And I feel like, talking to many of my friends that live in other countries, the dad is held in high respect. But for some reason, there's a shift in this country that the dad is kind of like the joke of the family, and somewhere along the way, we lost our way. But when you start to talk to other cultures, even within this country, the dad is held in high respect. I say, if nothing else, when we move forward from here, that we should be more inclined to promote that dad, whether he's in the system, out the system. We want to get back to America respecting dads and fathers, because somewhere we lost our way. And I'm just going to keep moving. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to stay right here. So my dad, a little bit about my dad. My dad was my superhero. When I was growing up, my dad was my superhero. The only thing he was missing was a cape. The only thing that was missing from my dad was a cape. And, when I think about all the things that he did, in the early part of my life, I thought, man, this dude, this was my guy. Like, he could do no wrong. And, it's so funny because we're talking about culture and systems. And I was listening to the presentations earlier from the earlier speakers and conversations that I've had about fatherhood. I was like, and I was saying, preparing for this presentation, I started to look for superhero dads. I was looking for the picture for the superhero dads. And these are the only pictures that I could find all over the internet. I challenge you, if you could find a Black or a brown dad with a cape, feel free to give it to me, because My internet, I couldn't find that. So if I'm a kid, let's little role play, little imagination. If I'm a child and I want to highlight my dad as a superhero, and that's the assignment for school, and I go online, the internet, and I only see these kind of dads. Does that mean my dad's could not be a superhero? Feel free to blow the chat box up. I like to keep Jen and Anthony working and the staff working, so feel free to light that chat box up. I like to set the chat box on fire. Does that mean that my dad can't be a superhero? Does that mean that? Because I didn't see any black or brown superhero dads, even though I know I'm a superhero. I know that. I don't need the internet to tell me that. You know, and I appreciate the earlier presentation because it spoke to that, even though only us that was here heard that. And I heard a question, how do we highlight that more in at a government space, in government spaces, you know, and people were like, oh, I don't really know, we need to, listen, we need to promote that every single day. We need to talk about the importance of fatherhood, especially in Black and brown communities. As I go on, you'll understand why I say that. We doing all right? Thumbs up. I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Y'all good? I see some of y'all sitting there like I'm frozen. I want to make sure we in the building. So with that being said, if I couldn't find, let me say it again. If I couldn't find any Black and brown superhero dads on the internet, now you working in these roles, DCF or social worker, or what have roles that you work with families of color. What biases do you bring to the table? What are you leaving out in your work when you do this work? When you see, I don't know what y'all thought. We didn't come to play no games. We didn't come here to play no games. I know it was rosy, but I'm going to take you somewhere and then I'm going to wrap it back together because these are conversations that are necessary when we're working with impacted and disenfranchised people, because sometimes it's the biases that we bring to work, right? You're a great dad, you hug your kids, you go to work, you do all this thing, you're amazing, and then you walk in the office and you judge the people that are trying to get to a space like you. Come on, man. We talking right or what? We talking right? This is the thing. You cannot, how are you know, I love the word, someone said something about empowerment. I love that the term empowerment was being used because that should be part of the strategic plan moving forward when we're working with fathers, right? We talking about risk to resource, then empowerment should be one of the #1 things that we are talking about. How do we empower Black and brown families, brothers and sisters, people, families in general? How do we empower? How do you empower your own family? How do you take that energy that you promote in your own household and bring it to work and spread a little bit? We ain't telling you to give all your secrets out, but sometimes, see, a lot of times we get lost in the way and we tend to forget, right? We tend to forget what's working best for us, right? But yet you don't pass that on. See, we're going to talk about the ripple effect in a second. Right? So I say that to say this because I use this and I want you to think about, and anybody feel free to add what biases may get in the way of your work. See, because those biases impede the success of others. Can I say that again? The biases can impede the success of others. What may hinder you from seeing me as a father will impede my ability to be a better dad. If you agree with that, feel free. I like hand claps. I like the little virtual stuff that we got, hearts or whatever. I just like to make sure y'all paying attention, right? Some of y'all might have went to the kitchen or whatever. I just want to make sure we're paying attention. So moving forward, when a lot of times I like to talk about in my talks, and I know it's early, y'all might be a little, Jen, y'all should have put me on a little later. It might be a little too early. It might be a little too heavy for this topic. But I like to talk about the iceberg. The iceberg, right? And many of you know what the iceberg is, right? You see an iceberg, you see the top, but there's so much below the bottom, right? And I'm going to say in this country, people are so busy to judge or view a person by what's above the waterline. See, what's above the waterline? You see, when you see me, you see a 6'5", 250 black, tall, bald head man. And then someone in my office one day told me he reminded me that I was black, which means I'm dark-skinned black. But I'm not just black, I'm dark-skinned black. So he says you could be viewed as more of a threat. This was a white man that told me that. So I was like, really? We're colleagues. And he told me that, and that's what he said. So if I'm receiving DCF services, or if I'm receiving some sort of social services and he was my worker, how would he feel coming into my house, or I walk into his office, 6'5", dark, black as he said, not my words, his words. How is that interaction gonna be, right? So I encourage you all that can hear my voice to look below the waterline. Because once we start to look below the waterline, we start to learn so much more about each other. We start to learn we have more in common. We start to learn that somebody, that person's a dad, that person's a Giants fan, that person's not, by the way, I am not a Giants fan, I'm an Eagles fan, so let's just be clear. I see some faces a little upset about that, but I said Giants, it was a slip of the tongue, right? But I just want to say I'm an Eagles fan, just to be clear. But then if you look behind the waterline, Jen said, I'll never call you back. Jen's like, yo, you're done here. Below the waterline is work ethic, education. See, these are not things that you see when you first meet a person. These are not things that come in common. The first thing that comes when you see me, a lot of times people grab their purses and move to the side of the street. They don't know my education level. They don't know I do presentations all over the country. I probably don't need your purse. I'm doing all right today. I'm doing all right today. You doing all right? Y'all guys doing all right? Everybody doing all right over there? Y'all doing all right? Okay. No, it's a little different than what y'all used to. Y'all used to data, facts, and figures. We talking real life. This is about lived experience. When you look at this picture, my friends, what do you see? Throw it in the chat box. I want to see who we got in the building. What do you see when you see this picture? Oh, move my chat box out the way. What do you see? Oh, everybody being quiet right now? Y'all being quiet? We got time. We got a couple of minutes. We don't got a lot of time. Inmate, fences, my only minorities. Let's go. Now we're in the building. Now we got some gas in the truck. Minorities, incarcerated men. Yep. Let's go. Yep. Winston, I see you, brother. Yes. See, it's so much. It could go on. The chat box is on fire. Jay, get the extinguisher. This thing is burning up. Yo, listen, you know what I see? I see fathers, I see brothers, I see uncles, I see broken dreams. That's what I see. You see, I walk that yard. There's a lot of plans and conversations going on in that walk. When you're on that yard and you walk in that yard, you envision in your dreams, you talking about what it's going to be like when you get home. You're talking about all these different things, right? I see slavery, pain, prison. All right, stop. Y'all going too in. Y'all are on fire. Yes. I see just like a couple of dads. I didn't see human beings, right? See, because that negative connotation, right? Systemic racism, that's what you see. But I see human beings. I see uncles. I see possibility. I see possibility when I see that. We can just talk about this picture right here alone, right? Because I see right, brothers, sisters, family, missing people, right? These are the missing people when decisions are being made about their children, whether it be in court or in the DCF office. A lot of times these people that are in this picture don't even have a voice, or their comments are minimal, right? Missing, broken opportunities. We need to be right in here engaging these brothers and teaching them their importance, empowering them of their importance of you need to be out there. See, I'm a coach in the community. I coach a little bit of basketball. Not that we're good. We lost a lot of games a couple of seasons ago before COVID. So I'm not going to say I'm a good coach, but I'm saying I'm a coach. And one thing that I learned about being a basketball coach, and those can attest that coach basketball, you learn about connection with the kids. They don't care if they win or lose. Some of them, they want to win. But that thing where they call you coach, is second to dad. I tell you, I challenge you, it's second to dad, because a lot of times they don't have that coach in the community. They don't have that dad. They don't have, man, listen, man, I'm getting chills just seeing y'all get excited about that, because we need to inspire more and more coaches in our communities. So you may be a DCF worker working with a dad, but I challenge you to be a coach. I challenge you to be a coach in the community. Let's go, man. We doing all right? How we doing? Jen, you back with me now? You forgot about the football comment? All right, cool. I want to tell y'all a little something real quick. So many of you, by show of hands, feel free. How many times have you done that foster parent interview? That foster parent interview, when somebody wants to be a foster parent and you want to go do that, you got to do that interview. I'm going to tell you a little quick story. I remember that, you know, we had a situation, one of my neighbors, you know, people in the neighborhood had some issues and their children were going to end up in DCF custody. My kids said, Dad, you got to help them out. You got to help them, Dad. You got to help them. And I'm like, oh, man, you know, whatever. Long story short, the DCF worker came to my house to do that interview. And I'm not sure what you guys call it professionally, so I'm just going to call it an interview, an assessment, but that initial engagement before kids are placed in a home, right? Interesting enough, and I'm not sure if she's here, but I'm not going to shout her out, but she knows that I have the utmost respect for her and the work that she has done. But when we first met, she came in and she had her book and she had her folders and she had her thing. And I believe she came with her supervisor. And I started to tell my story because, you know, you got to go over your criminal record. And by the way, I spent 10 years of my life in and out of the correctional system. And now I wanted to be a DCF foster child, a foster parent, right? And when she came to the house and she started to do the assessment and she started to hear my journey, she started to hear my story, which hopefully will have enough time for me to go over some of those high points in my life. She said to me emotionally, she looked emotional and she looked at me and she said, I only came here just to see who would be stupid enough with a record like yours. You know, and I'm paraphrasing, but somebody with a background like yours to want to be a foster parent. Until she got to see below the iceberg and she got to see the work that I had done. She had got to see who was sitting here. She got to see a homeowner. She got to see a business owner. She got to see somebody with plenty of space to share for somebody who does not have to be trapped in the system. And she got emotional because she says, on paper, Mr. McGraw, you are not a suitable fit. On paper, you don't fit the criteria. Come on, man, where are we going? On paper, you don't fit the criteria, but when I got to know you and I started to learn more about you, Google your boy, right? You start to learn that, oh, wait a minute, he done made some changes. I had never met somebody like him. Jen and I will tell you the story one day how we met. So I say that to say this, that, you know, moving forward, that work that you're doing, we got to stop looking at it as it's a handout. Y'all not doing handouts, y'all doing handouts. You know, this is where the system gets stagnated. This is why we don't have as much success as we could, because so many people think that their work is a handout. I'm doing you a favor. I'm doing you a favor. I'm helping you. No, you're a human being who is in a different place than me, and you are actually giving me a hand up, not a handout. See, we, those in my network, believe that we are in the modern day Underground Railroad, and we are pulling people out of darkness and bringing them forward. That's what we're doing. That's the work that we're doing. I see that empowerment, Evelyn. This is what we're talking about. We're not coming to play no games. See, statistics don't talk about this. Statistics, they're good and they get you money. They bring the revenue in, but ain't nothing like the real story, real talk. Because sometimes we got to have that beyond the water cooler talk. We can't always just sound good. Listen, I come here every time you meet me, it's going to be the same thing every day, because see, I represent a certain culture of cats that only understand this language when it's delivered a certain way. Now, if you want to talk about data and statistics, we can do that. You know, I'm from the IMRP. We got plenty of policy and research for you. We stack with that, but that's not what I'm bringing today. I want to talk about that ripple effect. Can we talk about the ripple effect? I know we're running short on time, and I want to make sure we hit all these points. Because see, when you walk into that relationship, and I don't care if you're not a DCF worker, I don't care whatever you do, if you sell hot dogs, whatever you do, the relationship is key, right? And if you come to me or my house with negative energy, what's going to be the ripple effect from that? See, a lot of times we think that we have these people and this and that. Well, sometimes it starts with you and what you bring to the table. We talked about those biases. We talked about these different things. We talked about that. But that ripple effect, if I bring positive energy, I already see some of you sitting up and smiling because I brought a different kind of energy to this table, right? I brought a different kind of energy to the table, and it's not me, man. God works through me. So God tells me, man, listen, this is what you need to bring them, right? Because I'm promised to do this work. This work right here, this is easy. This is easy breezy. Those that know me, this is easy money right here. This is nothing right here because I live and breathe this. I live and breathe engagement to people. I live and breathe people can do better when we believe in them first. Right? People believed in me when I was in prison. I told you I did 10 years in prison. When I was in prison, they told me I could do better. I could be this. They didn't say, oh man, you'll be back. Now, some said that, but not the ones that were encouraging me to move forward. And I just want to give you this wind analogy. For so long, when I was in the streets selling drugs and using drugs, I was fighting against the wind. When I started to meet different people like my man Rex, who I see, and others, I turned around and the wind was still blowing, but the wind started to push me forward. You see, the wind don't stop. The wind just started to push me forward. I encourage you, my friends, to turn some people around and let the wind push them forward. Show them that they can be better dads. Show them that this doesn't have to be, this is just a stumbling stop and not a permanent stop. This is just a stumbling block. We always talk about boulders and pebbles. The boulders are the things that you can see, but it's the pebbles that continuously trip us up. Anthony, how we doing, brother? We doing all right? We got a little bit of time left, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you do. I appreciate you having me in the building. So is it okay for us to talk about empowerment? Can we talk about empowerment a little bit? Can we talk about not what's wrong with the system, but how do we build the system up? How do we stand on empowerment? Each and every one of you have been empowered in some way in your life. Somebody said, yo, you're going to be the greatest. Some of you have been princesses and kings from day one. Yet we come to work and we say, yeah, well, you know, the best that we could do is we don't really have any money for that. We're going to try to do that for you. Well, we're going to wish you the best. You know, good luck with that, Mr. McGraw. Good luck. You know, I've even had people say, I'm sorry this is happening to you. Yet get back in their car and drive off back to their suburban households and their nice cars and so on and so forth. And they say, I'm sorry this is happening to you. I talk to many people when they go to, you know, take kids from people or for whatever the reason is, or you're going to offer support. They'll go in with their iPhone 15 and their red bottom shoes and tell people how to live their life when these people are just trying to survive, right? And I'm just trying to encourage you more to, when you go into that household moving forward in 2022 and further, when you reach into your bag, pull out empowerment, pull out like, how can I, when you look at somebody now, don't look at them as a case, look at them as a way to empower. How do I help this person get to the next level? I guarantee you, it doesn't matter how much money you make. I guarantee you, when you start to empower others, it'll be way beyond, there's no figure that you can put on that. And I'm challenging you to look at people different, look at them as humans and say, every case that you look at, you know, because I was sitting here and I was listening and I was paying attention to the presentations and I'm wondering how many times it's when we're listening to these presentations and a lot of us are in a lot of different meetings and it all sounds the same. And we're like, I don't know, I don't have time for that. You know, that data, well, we can't do that. It costs you nothing to empower people. It costs you nothing to tell somebody that they can do it. It costs you nothing to tell somebody that you believe in them. It costs you nothing to do that. I love that the doctors, previous speakers talked about trauma. My ACEs score is a 5, and I'm going to get right into that. You know, my ACEs score is a 5, and if we're not talking about trauma, if we're not talking about trauma when we're talking about addiction, we're not talking about trauma when we're talking about fatherhood, we're talking about risk to resource, if we are not addressing trauma, we're just doing surface level stuff. See, because it's easy, let me tell you, it's easy to talk about the drugs and the alcohol. It's easy to talk about the behavior addictions. That stuff is easy. But when you start to get to the root core issues, if you ever see my presentations, we get deep into this because the root core issues is poverty, isolation. These are the things that cause people to be in situations that they are. And many people like myself, you know, growing up in the era of mass incarceration, it wasn't about the biggest chain. It wasn't about the Mercedes Benz. All those things were happening, but it was more about survival. It was about survival. And many people that we see today, that you see today, that caseload, that folder that's on your desk right now, they're just trying to survive. If we talk about survival, that's a whole different conversation, right? I was in a conversation, somebody said to me yesterday, oh yeah, remember we were handing out food and those Mercedes Benzes and stuff were pulling up? Yeah, they might have had a Mercedes Benz. It might even be a couple months behind in payments. That doesn't stop us from giving them food. We never know what somebody's situation is. See, because what were they doing? Judging above the iceberg. They were talking about the things that you can see, but what about the things you can't see? What about the things you cannot see? So I'm challenging you through this talk, my friends, and then my friends from the IMRP will be coming behind me next with more heat. So be ready, turn your AC on because it's going to still get hot in here. But the point that I say is empowerment. Continue to empower people. Let's never forget that trauma should be number one of the number one things, because when you start to look at trauma, my friends, it no longer, everybody, man, teachers, police officers, counselors, all my life have said, what's wrong with you? Man, what's wrong with that boy? What's wrong with him? Not one had ever said, what happened to you? Not one said what happened to you. Because if you said what happened to me, I would have told you about when my dad left my house. I would have told you my trauma isn't sexual, it isn't physical, it's more in the lines of abandonment. It's when my dad left. And the last thing that he told me before he left the house, he said, you're the man of the house. See, I don't know anything about getting off the school bus and my mother being home, cutting the crust off the bread and cutting my sandwich in half after school. I don't know about that. What I know about is being a latchkey kid. I know about having that shoestring around my neck with the key and making sure when I'm in first grade, the things on my mind were not crayons and glue. What was on my mind was, did I lock the door? Did I make sure the gas was off? And I got to make sure my brother gets from the babysitter. I got to make sure all these things are done because mom had left me in charge and this man has walked out the house. Remember the superhero? He left. And when he left, he told me I was the man of the house. So that's a game changer. And a lot of times we come to this work really blessed. House, you know, I joke about my kids. If I put an ice tray in front of them right now, 3 of them, they're all pretty smart. If I put an ice tray in front of them right now, not one of them would be able to get ice out the tray because their whole life, they've only used the ice machine. The whole life, they think ice is made in a refrigerator. I come from a different place. I don't know if y'all understand that. I see some of you shaking your heads. I appreciate it. Acknowledging that, because when you come from that place with the ice tray, see that when you come from the place with the ice tray, hold on now. When you come from the place with the ice tray, you know, it's this thing about that product of environment right? This was my playground. These were my cohorts. These were my teachers. These were my professors. This is the school I come from, right? This is the school I come from. This is what I know. So maybe you don't come from here, but you need to study here before you come and work here. You can't tell me how to do fathering when I come from a land of a fatherless place. I grew up in a building with 12 floors, 120 families, and only 3 dads. And then you're gonna try to tell me how to be a father. Come on, man, you gotta come at me a little different. You gotta say, listen, break the cycle. I want you to break the cycle. I want you to be different. You can be different. Forget what your dad did. That has nothing to do with you. When you were 6 years old, that has nothing to do with you. I'm going to be the person to empower you. I'm going to be the coach that wears a gold chain to the practice and say, listen, I got this from work. You can work every day and drive a nice car. You can live in the hood and drive a nice car. You can be a role model without being a drug dealer. Come on, man. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. I think y'all, man, y'all, hey, Jen, am I on mute? Am I on mute? Talk to me. Because see, if you don't do that, then we got a cycle that continues. And this is what success looked like to me. This is what success looks like to me. The dude in the gold chain and the big, oh, I'm dating myself. Y'all see New Jack City, y'all see it. Abdul, I know you see me, man. I know you see me, man. I know you see me, brother. Listen, this is what I idolize because this is what success looked like to me. Right? And if you don't understand this, then you don't understand me. Hold on, can I say that a little quiet? Because I know I'm yelling. If you don't understand that, then you don't understand me. And we need to understand each other before we can walk into a place and talk about empowering you, helping you do better. Or are you just checking a box? Because we could do that too, because many of us program very well. And if you just want me to answer your questions and go through your day, no problem, we could do that. But if you're really coming to help me, then understand me first. Because if you don't, you won't understand how easy it becomes to witness violence and then become a perpetrator of violence. See, because violence, where I grew up, everything was solved with violence. I don't know how many of you come from that same place I come from, but violence was solved if you know only the strong survive. So if somebody got it twisted, you had to respond with physical violence. And you know, if you could fight, then you were left alone. You were this, you weren't picked on, you were this. And guess what? We talk about power. Did somebody mention power? Because I heard powerlessness, but you can't talk about powerlessness without talking about power. And let me tell you, this is power in my hood. That's power. You don't understand this. This is power. And when my dad left, I was powerless. I could not stop that adult from leaving. But once I found out about this drug selling, once I found out about this violence, I found a new form of power and I didn't have to worry about him no more because nobody will ever hurt me again. Y'all right? Y'all good? Y'all good? All right, cool. Got a question for you. What if I grew up here? What if I grew up here? How would success look to me? Would violence be that? Not saying that violence doesn't happen in the suburbs. We know it does. But would success look different to me? Would I be inspired? Would the conversations be different? Because we have to have these conversations because many of you who went into education, your parents started with the blue collar job, got that job. You didn't want to work in plumbing. You didn't want to be an electrician. You didn't want to follow the family business. So you went into social work or something different. So that's what it looked like to you. Then how do you come to a different environment and try to help that person if this is all you know? I'm not challenging you. I'm not telling you you can't work in these environments. I need you to just study and understand. Just like you did the research to get here, you need to do the research to get other people there. That's what I'm saying to you. I'm not saying that you can't do this work, but I'm just saying we need to have the conversation on where the work began. Where did your work begin? In the suburbs, well, then you don't really understand a lot of things that I'm talking about, but we can teach you if you get people with lived experience like myself. I'd be glad to show you the way. Stop trying to do it on your own. Invite some of us that have had this lived experience to the table like DCF does every time, right? They bring people with lived experience to the table. We wouldn't be having this conversation. I could have easily brought y'all data. I could have easily brought y'all this, but I didn't bring you that. I brought you this. This is what you're getting. So I heard somebody mention, and I know we're getting closer and closer to the time, and I know y'all tired of me yelling at y'all. I know. I'm sorry. Nah, I'm really not. Check it. We're talking about, somebody mentioned purpose. How many of you, by a show of virtual hands, thumbs, whatever you got, are here walking in purpose? Are you walking in purpose? Are you doing this in purpose? Are you here? See, because there's only a few hands. So that means some of y'all just doing a job. I get it. Get your money. Get your money. Get your bag. But let me tell you how great it would be if you were walking in purpose. Let me tell you how this would be nothing. This is a no-brainer. When I put my feet on the floor, I'm walking in purpose. When I walked out of the prison, I already had the vision. I was going to walk in purpose. This is purposeful. I live on purpose for others. Has nothing to do with me. Has nothing to do with me, right? So understanding that, I had to learn it, just like you can, right? West Wing, 25 cell, Hartford Correctional. I was in a cell. Some guy slipped this book under my door, 40-day spiritual journey, right? He said, you should read this book. It's a 40-day spiritual journey. I don't know if you have read it. If you haven't, I encourage you to, because it's a 40-day spiritual journey. Real quick, my court date was 41 days away. So I thought this was an email from God. I thought God was delivering this to me like, here you go. I need you to read this before you go, because I thought God was a bondsman. And when it came under my door, I read it faithfully. I was like, oh God, I started writing. Like every day you have to write one chapter per day for 40 days. Like I said, my court date was 41 days away. So what I did was I was doing it, one line a day, like, God, you see me, I'm writing, you see me writing, God. But by day 25, I was writing chapters and pages, and I couldn't stop. I was running out of books because I started to think what my life could really be like if I really applied it. If I started taking these things that I knew and started applying them to my life, I could be different. I could be different. And when that court date came, they gave me 4 years. I didn't get to go home, but guess what? I walked into that prison with a smile on my face. I probably was the happiest person to ever go to jail because I had found purpose, something that I had been walking around life without for so long. And when I walked out of prison, June 10, 2010, I had a 5-year plan. I had 6 notebooks, and it was full of purpose. And that purpose led me to many different areas. And without that purpose led me to a graduate degree. I have those of you that don't know, and you're just meeting me, understand this. I have a master's degree in organizational management and leadership. I'm a homeowner, I'm a business owner, and I'm a dad forever. And I always credit education. For me, that was the key. That was the key to this success. That's what guided me. That's what took me to the next level. And I don't know what it's going to be for that other person. That's why you got to stop asking what's wrong with them and ask them what happened to them so you can find their key. Because remember, I talked about that violence being key. I told you if you could fight, that was power. Let me tell you about this thing they call education. Let me tell you about this thing they call education. Because once I got those degrees, and by the way, my mother, who watched me walk in and out of courtrooms all like for many years, and in and out of police cars, got to watch me walk across the stage not once but twice, a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, fresh out of prison. So if you are judging people above the iceberg, you above the waterline, you are discrediting them. You are not giving them a chance. You are already failing them. You are already counting them out the game. And how many of you watch these sports games where they turn around in the 9th inning, they turn around in the 4th quarter, it'd be 2 or 3 baskets, and all of a sudden you say, what happened? I thought they were, you thought what? I was losing? You thought I was losing? Hold on. You shouldn't have turned the game off. You shouldn't have turned the game off, because we winning over here. We winning over here. And I need you, coaches, I need you to get some more winners in the game. I'm going to bring this to a close. And I want to tell you something that really meant something to me. My son, who's now 18, 6'10", playing basketball in New Jersey at a prep school. you know, because of choices that I made early, that purpose made it possible for him to go play basketball somewhere way across few states and pay for his education, which my parents have. See, if my dad stuck around long enough, maybe that would have been my reality. But see, when we start to talk about breaking the cycle, I look at this kid and I say, you know, now I can afford to pay for an education. And instead of getting him a state paid education in the prison system, now we're paying for an education for this cat to go and be something better than whatever, how I started. My start gate was a lot different than his. He still can't pop an ice tray, but that's okay, right? He may be able to afford that refrigerator, but when I came home from prison, you know, I jumped in the game automatically, right? And he said, Dad, 9 years old, I want to play football. I was like, all right, man, I'll support you. Now, all those years when I was in prison, I wasn't there. So you best believe when he was playing football, I was right there. I said playing football, he really was on the bench. He wasn't that nice. Not that he gets any skills from his dad. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there, but the one thing that I do remember is that one day he was sitting on a bench and I was a couple of rows back in the parents' bleachers, and he turned around and he gave me a thumbs up. I think about, what if I wasn't there? What about if I wasn't there? Who would he have given the thumbs up to? I gave him something that my dad didn't give me. He didn't give me the ability to give him the thumbs up. I encourage you today, my friends, I appreciate your time and your energy. Please, let's get these dads back on the bench behind the field so they could give up the thumbs up, because let's all be the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's go, man. Jen, we good.
Well, thank you for making me get emotional in front of all these people. And I can't believe you're not a Giants fan, but nevertheless.
We're going to work on that.
We will. So we're going to open it up to any questions. We have a few minutes. Thank you so much, Daryl. And my new motto is going to be hands up, not hand out.
Yeah.
Love it. So let's see.
I just want to say, I mean, other than him not being a Giants fan, it was a great presentation, very motivational. I mean, the chat was out of control.
That's what we like.
And listen, I actually saw a documentary you were in about maybe like 6 weeks ago. And I said, I got to meet that guy. And then I saw you were going to be in this conference. So I'll be meeting you soon. Boom.
I look forward to it. I look forward to it. Yes, yes. Yeah, just so y'all know, that documentary, man, I Uprooted Addiction right there. Uprooted Addiction, streaming right now on Apple, just so you know, and TED Talk Hartford, December 5th. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
So is there any questions? Feel free.
Jen, I don't have a question. It's Anthony. I don't have a question, but I do want to make a comment about Daryl. So I appreciate you being here today. You and I joke about this all the time. I remember the first time I met Daryl. He was doing a presentation for the CERT program, and myself and one of my workers chose his breakout room, and Daryl had the same energy, and I just sat there stone faced, right? And I didn't say anything to Daryl at that point in time. And then we met years later. He was like, I remember you.
Front row. I remember you, bro.
I remember you. He was like you wasn't giving me like no love. Like it was like, what was happening? What was going on? And I explained to Daryl that I was just blown away. I was blown away. I was speechless. And it was just such a phenomenal presentation. And your ability to be so vulnerable and share your experiences and how you've been able to create the life that you want for yourself, despite all the barriers and obstacles that were placed in front of you, whether they were systematic or choices you made yourself. Despite that, you definitely pulled yourself forward. And then pulling yourself forward and putting the wind behind your back You just didn't put the wind behind your back. When you spun around, you actually grabbed somebody and you pulled them along with the gust of wind. And you continue to do that. So I just appreciate all that you do, the work that you do. Keep doing what you do. And we truly appreciate you being a part of our conference. So I just want to thank you again.
Thank you so much. And yeah, it's so crazy how we met, because when Anthony came up to me, he was like, I was like, brother, I know who you are. You were the guy that was like in the front row and you were like looking and you was like, you had this look. I said, you didn't really appreciate that. I was like, for years, those of us that present are like, you never forget. Everybody that claps, you know. You don't think about those. It's the ones that you were like, what did I miss? And then, I mean, it touched my heart when you said that. So for years, I had a whole time, I was like, man, so, you actually taught me a lesson. And I always say that, some days we're the teacher and some days we're the student. And, many times I'm in the room with you and Jen, I'm definitely the student, and, so I appreciate the opportunity. I see Rex in the building. Rex got a hand up. Come on in, Rex. How you doing, brother?
Yo, so Council Rex, I worked at the Department of Corrections. I got the pleasure of meeting Daryl many years ago. He comes in for the Fatherhood program when I was at Osborne Correctional Facility. And I can share from my perspective that sometimes we don't think about the fathers that are still doing an extensive amount of time, right? And laws feel hopeless when it comes to being fathers and stuff like that. So with Daryl coming in and bringing that energy, that encouragement, that empowerment, most of these men that attended these sessions actually took that leap of faith and tried to engage their kids again. And because of that, they've been able to reconnect with these kids and be fathers behind the steel, the concrete, and the barbed wires. They still there, and they have a relationship. They have a relationship, and it just on this side, what we don't see is like, their involvement. They reading those fatherhood books, the parenting books, and they doing their best through the phones, the visits, and the letters to be present in them homes, even though they still doing an extensive amount of time. So, what Daryl puts in place, man, it's like something in motion that I get emotional when you hear me, feeling my voice, but because I get to see that piece. I get to see that piece behind here. It's something that's bigger than the whatever 200 or 192 people that are here right now. It's way bigger than this. There's some things that now you're talking about facilities at the time when he was coming in had 1,500 men. One section alone in these facilities where I was at, you count all the prisons and you're talking about 10,000 men among 5 facilities. And just think about each one having one kid only. That's 10,000 kids without their father in their lives. And this man, made his business to come in and talk to these men and, push that forward. So I hear him talking, man. I'm moved because, I guess to still see those dudes behind the wall here talking about that daughter connection, that son connection, and showing pictures of their kids in college and stuff like that. So it's powerful what you guys are doing, man. It's powerful what Daryl's doing. So I just wanted to share that piece. I'll leave you out with that.
And I love you, Rex, man. You almost had me emotional, man. I got some street crap, man. I almost had to shut my camera off, man. You can't do that, Rex.
It's all good, man. That's part of being a man, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, guys.
That's it. Just really quick, want to add, Daryl, thank you for that awesome presentation. Thank you for just being transparent. Thank you for changing that narrative. Thank you for being that, being yourself. Thank you for, we need to see more gentlemen like you and like myself. But I really do thank you. It was awesome to be a part of this presentation. And I have to leave you with this. I am a huge Eagles fan, so let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Jen, you see that, Jen? We can get you a jersey, Jen. Don't worry, we got you.
Thank you.
All right. So that was a wonderful presentation So we're moving on. We have, you know, Daryl, before you mentioned about the Black superhero, let me just, I have a poem called I'm a Black Superhero. I'm gonna do it. It's a quick poem. I'm gonna do it. This is just for you.
I appreciate it. We got time. Let's go.
Yeah, we got time. I'm gonna take a couple minutes out. So it goes like this. I'm a Black superhero. My superpower, playing with my kids for more than an hour. I cook breakfast, pack lunch, change diapers, but not that much. Help with homework, wash them up, read them stories, and show them love. I attend PTCs, watch My Little Pony DVDs, RSVP to tea parties. I proudly wear a shirt that reads D-A-D. I work. That's right, I have a job, and I'm married and in love with my wife. I've dedicated my life to doing what's right. I save the world every day by being a role model to my son, and I know he's not the only one who's watching. So I role model to sons whose fathers neglect to teach. Son, this is how you set, and this is how you shine. If they only knew the value of time and what a little time could do, they could proudly say, I'm a Black superhero too. Boom, there you go.
Yo, y'all can't make this up, man. Y'all can't make this up, man. This is destiny. It's already happening. Appreciate you. Abdul, I can't wait till we link up.
Most definitely. I'll be in touch.